Megaquarium by Twice Circle is the spiritual follow-up to the very underrated Big Pharma, a Tycoon game that also had a very heavy element of min-maxing and optimization when it came to setting up assembly lines and your drug production. Megaquarium doesn't go that far, unfortunately, and I feel it's not as deep as I would have liked it to be, no pun intended, but it's still a very fresh take, or I guess a saltwater take on the Tycoon genre. So, if you're a fan of the first game, Big Pharma, the UI should look very similar to you. But we're trading in drugs and pharmacies for fish tanks and air and water filters. If the title's name, Megaquarium, didn't clue you in, our mission is to run the best dang aquarium around. And to do that, we need to balance setting up fish tanks, the equipment needed to maintain them, and making sure our patrons are happy and our fish are well fed and not feeding off of each other. So the game itself comes with two different modes. You have a campaign that walks you through different objectives while unlocking new content and stuff to do, and then you have sandbox play, where you set some basic values such as how hard is to acquire new content, how hard is it to please people, starting money, and so on and so forth. But the general play of Megaquarium is pretty simple to get into. How this works is you have your tanks that you can build in any spot, and you're going to fill them with the various fish. And I believe they're all real, actual real fish in this game. The fish themselves come with varying conditions, including what kind of water quality they prefer, temperature, lighting, aesthetics in the tank, and more importantly, resources. If you look on the screen right now, you'll see that each fish has 1 to 3 in 3 different, or 1 to 3 resource amounts, and they are: the green one, or the leaf, was ecology, the blue test tube was science, and the star was prestige. And these 3 resources are vital to improving your aquarium and is the game's primary progression model. How this works is once you've set up a tank and you've filled it with the fish, every time a patron views that tank, you will earn those respective points per each fish in there. The ecology points are used to unlock new fish that you can then add to future tanks or replace. Science points unlocks new equipment and things around the aquarium, such as pumps that you'll see in a few minutes. And prestige is used for the game's rank mode. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen to the right of my science points, you'll see my rank. And the rank itself determines what elements you have access to, as well as the complicating the needs and the demands of your patrons. If you notice right now, I have my tank in the bottom left enclosed, meaning that the actual patrons can't see the actual equipment and stuff that's being used to maintain them. This becomes a requirement at Prestige level 3, and it sets up some of the game's more complicated elements. And of course, everybody's favorite challenge, trying to fit all the stuff you need in a minimum amount of space. When you start, you're going to be mainly putting equipment right next to tanks. But as you see right here, I'm now setting up pumps. And pumps are kind of the game's advanced mechanic. How they work is that instead of attaching equipment to the various tanks, thereby taking up your precious space, you attach them to the pump itself, and then, as the name implies, it's going to pump that stuff to the respective tank. Now, food and maintenance is handled by people, which you can hire, and they will level up and grow as they continue to service your tanks and such. And the basic challenge of the game is trying to grow while unlocking new content and keeping your prestige growing. Because unlike ecology and science, your prestige is always counting down. Kind of like a dwindling resource, or I guess water leaking from a boat with a hole in it. So the only way to keep growing is you have to keep people coming in and viewing all your tanks. Now, as I said a few minutes ago, the complexity of Megaquarium is not quite at the same level as Big Pharma. The tanks themselves are very much a build and forget kind of design. Once you've gotten the fish in that you want, gotten their respective needs met, that's basically it. Machine and equipment may need to be serviced, but that's more or less handled by the people that's running your aquarium rather than you yourself. And I'm not seeing, like I said, some of the more interesting combination of the Tycoon and the actual management style that we saw in games like Big Pharma or even something like the original Theme Park and Theme Hospital. In Big Pharma, you had kind of like the needs of the people dictating what pills or drugs for you to research, as well as other companies and advertising. Here, it's not so much. And I would have liked to see like maybe rewarding people for using more of your fish supply rather than just going for your best or your most resource generating ones. If you notice on the list that has popped up a few times, the higher rank fish that you have access to, while they will be more demanding, will generally give you a lot more in resources rather than the lower tiered ones. And some of the advanced ones do get more complicated. There are fish that will feed off of crustaceans or shellfish, but you can have crustaceans in your tank and they will not contribute towards needing additional food or additional maintenance. And so there's definitely some interplay between balancing out your tanks and getting like the right combination of fish, crustaceans, aesthetics, so on and so forth. But there's just not much to the overall Tycoon side. People will have basic needs, but it's essentially, I'm hungry, I need a drink, or I'm tired, give me a bench. Now, from what I played, I only reached about Prestige level 4, and that's why this is a first look, so I don't know how much things complicate as you get higher in ranked. But I will say I do like the idea behind the Prestige system, of unlocking new systems and complexities as you get higher, rather than just hitting the player with everything right from the get-go. And once you know what you're doing in Megaquarium, you'll be able to quickly grow in Prestige. I just wish that you could grow a little bit faster, because due to the dwindling or the declining Prestige points, you're basically having to fight an endless tide of Prestige dropping as you're trying to grow in terms of more fish and more resources. In terms of quality of life for UI design, everything is kept very clean, very sterile in that regard, but I did have some issues with just the overall UI management. All those little windows you're seeing popped up on the right, I couldn't find a shortcut or a quick way to remove them. And it can start to get very hard to figure out what tank I'm looking at and where certain issues are coming from. You can turn on or off overlays from the upper right hand UI, but it would have been nice to maybe have the UI be a little bit more dynamic so that it would show up exactly what I'm looking at. Maybe kind of use like an info pane format, that wherever my mouse pointer is on or wherever I kind of focus, that will be what shows up on the pane. Because again, I'll get these alerts from the mail that says, fish in tank 4 is dead. But the game doesn't show me the numbers of the tanks unless I'm clicking on each one of those panes or each one of those panels. So it's a little bit annoying there, but it's not exactly a make it or break it for this kind of gameplay. Another thing you may or may not have noticed is that the people themselves operate on a very basic system. They walk from tile to tile, and you can control them to some extent based on the layout of your aquarium. But it's, again, nothing is really too complicated on the Tycoon side of things. But I do like what I'm seeing here, and I hope that this does well or better than Big Pharma, and that Tim will have the chance to grow things and maybe add or implement more of the Tycoon side to the actual management side or the aquarium side of things. But I would like to thank him for giving me a press key to check this one out. It is currently available on Steam, and I'm sure on the other platforms as well. So be sure to give it a look if you're interested in another Tycoon-style game. Like I said, while it may not be the deepest experience, it's still a very fresh, or I guess saltwater take on things. But we're going to wrap things up here for right now, so thank you so much for watching. If you're working on your own game that you'd like me to take a look at in the future, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But check back for daily discussions on game design here, and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Before we get to the credits, just a quick shout out to the supporters over on patreon.com/GWBycer. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check back for our regular streaming, most nights at 9:30, 10 EST, and you'll find a schedule linked down below. For a collection of my writings as well as audio casts on design, you'll find that at game-wisdom.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at GWBycer. If you're interested in hanging out and talking about game design topics, we have a Discord channel with the basic tier open to everybody, and that is linked down below as well. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, it is at patreon.com/GWBycer. Your support can help to keep things going and growing, and you can earn rewards such as ad-free versions of our talks, votings for our specific Let's Plays and grab bag streams, and more. But that's it for now. Thanks again for watching. I hope you come back for more great discussions on design here and on GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games.